Professor, once you arrive at the Cartographer, you need to find out what Atriox is planning to use it for.
Understood, Captain. Isabel gave me everything the UNSC already knows about the area, and it looks like we'll need to reach the map room.
Also, I've been running scans as we get closer. There seem to be large power signatures from the central chamber nearby. It's unclear whether it's banished or forerunner in origin.
Be careful, Professor. There will be a strong banished presence. And from what we've seen of the Sentinel defenses, you may have them to deal with too.
I'll let Jerome handle the former, but as for the Sentinels, remember that special project we were talking about earlier? I think it might be time for a test run.
It's not quite done yet, but I'll give it a shot. I'll wait for your word from down there. Good luck.
Up ahead. That's where we need to go. Come on. Oh, great. That was our way in.
Spirit of Fire Actual, we've got a problem. The route through to the map room is blocked by some kind of energy shield.
Can you open it, Professor?
Well, we're in the right place. Those power signatures I detected in the central chamber must be connected to this energy shield somehow.
Spirit of Fire, we may be here a while.
Hello everybody and welcome to the 5th mission in my Halo Wars 2 Legendary Walkthrough Guide. Today we're doing the mission The Cartographer, and let's get started immediately by building some turrets because we're about to get hit by some Banshees. And then we're also going to get an armory going, that way we can get some extra little upgrades for our units, as well as get a generator, that way we can get our economy going a little quicker. Now we're also going to get vehicle level 1, that way we can have a little bit more efficient Wolverines, because we will be using Wolverines a majority of this mission. And notice how I used Jerome to hijack one of the Banshees, and notice how much damage he did just by trying to hijack one Banshee to the other Banshees that he didn't take down. So the Spartan Slam, whenever they hijack, does do extra damage to anything in the area, so make sure that you use that whenever you possibly can, because it does do bonus damage. Now, for the entire first part, we're just going to make sure everything is going pretty standard. We're going to heal up our units. I upgraded with my leader point restoration drone, so that way you can keep an eye on that. And then there is going to be a second wave of Banshees coming in. That's why I also wanted to make sure that my units were healed up, and that's why I've been also trying to focus on getting my turrets up as well. But notice that the restoration drones did not they kept our units healed the entire time of that attack. All of our units are sitting pretty good. Nothing is super low. I think the lowest unit in this entire during that entire fight was Jerome, funny enough. So making sure that you use your restoration drones when you're getting attacked is also a very good way for you to stay combat efficient. Now the strategy for this mission is fairly simple. It is Wolverine Marine. I chose the Wolverine Marine combo because Wolverines are very good against air. Marines are also good against air, but also Marines are very good against other ground units because of their grenade throw ability. Now you could, in theory, use Warthogs if you want to go that route. However, Warthogs will get hard countered, and all your vehicles will get hard countered by the hunters that are scattered throughout the map. There's quite a few hunters, and hunters for some reason love to garrison in the towers if you have a lot of vehicles. So just wanted to put that out there to make sure that if you thought of going the Warthog route, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's also not going to be the stellar idea that you probably think it will be. It's going to require a little bit more micro, but overall it shouldn't be too terrible. But this is why I decided to go the Marine route, because not to mention you have 2 infantry levels, so you'll have infantry level 1 and infantry level 2. But you also have grenade throw, and grenade throw does splash damage against all the other enemies in the area, so we're going to be using grenade throw quite a bit throughout this mission. Now as you can see here, I decided to upgrade that turret to anti-air before I did anything else. The reason why is that what we need is anti-air turrets for whenever we leave the base, because we are going to get attacked by Banshees in a few seconds, and we want to make sure that our base is set up. Yes, we have Wolverines, yes, we have Marines, but remember, they're the mobile force. We need to be able to counter stuff, like for an example, the Sentinels later on in the mission, without our forces being there. So it is imperative to have these defenses up early and ready. So you want to make sure that everything is good to go before you have to deal with it. This is why staying 2 steps ahead, 3 steps ahead, or 4 steps ahead of your of the enemy is super important. You want to kind of like predict these things. Now, once we have a certain amount of forces, we do want to make sure that we time it with our power spikes. And I also wanted to make sure that we took down these Banshees. You typically want to attack, or you typically want to move out against objectives when you have basically one of three things. One, you want to make sure that you have just upgraded one of your units and you just hit a power spike. For an example, vehicle level 1 or infantry level 1. In this case, it is going to be the upgrades. This is number 2. You want to make sure that you have your leader powers ready and that you're able to afford them. So for an example, having leader power like restoration drones or archer missiles is going to be super important, because then you're going to be able to heal up quickly in any case you get in any case you lose a few, or you're pretty much getting overwhelmed by leader powers, enemy leader powers I mean, and stuff like that. And the third one is you typically want to combine these. Like if you have all three of these ready to go, like I got my grenade throw at the time, I had restoration drones going, it's just good to have all this stuff ready to go. That way you're doing the most damage and you're the most efficient in terms of combat. Now with that other leader point that you saw me have, I decided to get battle hardened rather than upgrade my archer missiles. Those battle hardened basically makes your units get veterancy faster, and veterancy means more efficient units, and more efficient units equal more deadly units. So for me, I prefer having a more deadly force rather than, oh cool, I get to drop these archer missiles, but what does that do for my units? I just use one power up and I don't even know when I get to use that next. So it's a kind of like a perspective shift. Now I'm always shifting between my Marines. You'll always see me shifting into my Marines by hitting right trigger on your controller if you're playing on Xbox. Basically shifting to your Marines and making sure that you have their grenade throw in the back of your mind will always be useful, because you're always making sure that like you're going to be able to do the most damage with the most deadly unit you have, with the deadliest unit you have. Now as you see here, I'm kind of just going around my base upgrading everything that need be, and after taking down the Forerunner conduit, things are going to get a little dicey. I took a little bit extra time to make sure everything was nice and good for me on my end. I wanted to make sure, for an example, the Wolverines were good to go. I wanted to make sure my Marines were good. And I also wanted to make sure my base was in at least a semi-decent shape. Now earlier you saw me destroy my armory. I did not think the armory was going to be any use after I got logistics. I made sure that the armory had no more tech after this cutscene. Like maybe they would add in like reinforcements level 1 or logistics level 2 or fortify level 1. They did none of that, so you are free to destroy your armory, put in another supply pad or a generator if you prefer that. Or you can even just build a barracks. It's completely up to you. In retrospect, building a barracks to make sure I had infantry level 1 and infantry level 2 would have been probably the better idea, because then I would have a much more deadly force, and in a separate run, like a run that I would do over, I would probably end up doing that. So if you're watching this and you made it to this point, just remember, rather than build that supply pad that I did, build a barracks, upgrade your Marines, and then you're good to go. Or if you decide to go Warthogs, your forces are already pretty deadly because you have Warthogs because they're already level 1, and your Wolverines are also level 1. Now remember, whenever you're getting attacked by leader powers like that, split up your forces to make sure that they like that enemy leader power doesn't do as much damage to your force. Unfortunately, things got a little hectic, and I wasn't going to be able to salvage this fight. Like they shot Jerome out of the sky. Like things were going a little crazy here. Not to mention they used a second leader power on me, which froze all my units. So this was not a very good engagement. I decided to use Jerome one more time to try to take out this Banshee. It ended up working pretty good. Another reason why this fight failed rather than succeeded was basically I forgot that my Marines had a grenade throw, which is really, really bad. So make sure that whenever you're going into a fight like this, that you remember your abilities, prioritize enemies that are doing the most damage to you. So for an example, that Wraith would have been a good idea, or using Jerome to hijack from the Banshee into the Wraith. That would, in retrospect, would have been a better play. But overall, this is not like the worst position like ever. We didn't completely lose all of our units. We basically did though. But notice how I'm not letting that phase me, and that is actually a huge thing I want to make sure that you guys know, is that even though your units are getting absolutely torched and that you're getting absolutely lambasted, just keep going. Do not give up. Just remember, you're playing the objective. This is not like normal where you're just sitting here like killing all your units. Prioritize things that like get you to the end of the mission. And part of that is to make sure that we take out the conduit still, even though we have basically no forces at all. Like just when I thought I was in the clear for a little bit, the hunters came in with Banshees. So not only were my Wolverines getting countered by the hunters, but my infantry was being absolutely torched as well by hunters. So it was not a good situation for me. It was absolutely unexpected. I believe this is pretty much set on a timer, so these forces that you see here will always attack at the same time that you see me getting attacked. So just keep an eye out. Notice how whenever I'm building my units, I am making them fall back. I ended up getting that power, that Forerunner tower back, so I was able to fall back. Now I'm going to be able to take out this conduit here, just letting my turrets do their job. Unfortunately, I took out that power conduit, and that put me into a cutscene, so I was not able to control any of my units. So I lost a Wolverine needlessly because I was being stupid. But overall, like, again, stupid things happen. Like, that's the point of real-time strategy. Like, you're getting punished for your mistakes. But the thing is that you have to quickly learn from your mistakes and then just keep on going. Like, that's a huge part of what makes a strategy game a strategy game. You can't just get bogged down in getting absolutely destroyed by a glassing beam for the 4th time in 3 minutes. Like, you have to be able to keep it up. You have to keep doing the damage. Like, using that Spartan Slam there to take out those units. Just making sure that my units are, like, targeting those grunt squads, keeping them away from that Forerunner tower because I want those extra resources. And there we go. Now, once we've finally repelled yet another attack, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of time here to make sure all of my forces are ready to take out the banished base. Now, typically what you would probably do is take the eastern conduit or the western conduit first, then go to the other side, and then in the finale take out the north take out the banished base where the north conduit is. That's not how I would say my strategy is, or how I would actually do this mission at all. You want to make sure that you eliminate the banished presence as fast as possible. The longer that you keep the banished alive, the harder it is going to be for you to do your job and get all these conduits down. That is why I decided to take out the banished base second. Now, this was kind of yet another difficult situation for me because my forces were not yet up to where they needed to be. I'm still weak on units. Notice how I haven't even hit unit cap yet, but I'm still pushing forward as fast as I possibly, not as fast as I can, but I'm trying to be smart about it. Like, notice how I'm trying to bait out some of their units going down the ramp. That way I'm able to fight them on my terms rather than have their base completely show me with their turrets. So you want to kind of think about that stuff when you're going into fights and engagements like this. Also, notice how I backed off when I realized that my archer missiles were not ready yet. But now that I see that they're completely, like, they're almost ready, I'm able to push up. Now here's the thing about ramps. Remember, the Fog of War, they get sight advantage over you. So make sure that you are prepared for that. You want to go up that ramp as fast as you can and be sitting there ready to fight, like, when you get, because it's going to be a bloodbath. You're going to lose quite a few units in this engagement. So just make sure that you have restoration drones. You make sure you have your archer missiles going. And remember, that shield generator has to go down somehow. So toss those archer missiles down. Help yourself out. And yeah, you might lose a few units. Jerome might even get down just like mine, just like Jerome did in my run. But just remember, keep up the pressure. Keep going. It's going to be completely fine. Remember, half of your score for a gold medal is combat score, yes, but sometimes that extra little time you spent just making sure that you kept going for that objective can mean the difference between a gold or a silver medal, or getting a bronze to a silver. So just remember that when you're going into moments like this. So trying to take out the turrets. By taking out the turrets, I'm going to be able to have less damage dealt to my units. Then I also saw that the stupid elites here were pretty much just killing all my Marines, and they were one of the reasons why Jerome was getting hit so hard. So finally decided to take those guys down. And again, just like that glassing beam is just relentless. So just making sure that you're always going back to your base, using your excellent macro skills. And again, macro is going back to your base and producing units. Or it's basically your unit producing. It's making sure that you're able to replenish units that you lose just as fast as they're able to kill them. Typically you want to do it faster because then you're always keeping a nice steady army going. But typically you don't want to have them queued up like that, like 5 freaking Marines sitting in your queue. But better to have them inside of your queue, because I mean you're sitting there with pretty good, like all your stuff is already upgraded and stuff. You're just needing to create units. But just consistently barraging this base. Once this base is destroyed, you won't have to deal with it anymore. All the enemy units will pretty much just have to come out of the 2 side bases, which is one of those bonus objectives that we get to do in this mission, which is going to be pretty nice for us. Making sure that we have all of our units ready. Now we're going to be using Jerome here, which is going to be pretty cool. He's going to be taking this Wraith. Do not use Jerome to take a ghost, please, especially when you see a Wraith just sitting there ready for the taking. Now, at the North Conduit, the Banished, basically the way I think this level was set up is that they wanted you to take the East and the West Conduit first, and then at the very end you had 5 engineers on the final conduit. This was going to be like this epic little like finale for this mission, and I decided to just say screw that. I don't want to deal with no engineers. That's why I have like 10 Wolverines on standby. And look how easy we're able to melt air, and look how the Marines are doing. They're doing fantastic. Now, a tactic that you can use for your own abilities is when they toss down one of their like glassing beam on top of your forces, you can toss down your restoration drones, because your level 2 or level 3 restoration drones may be able to out heal the damage that that the enemy is doing to you. So even though you're still taking damage, having that healing is like it's like a game changer. Like you can keep all your forces ready, and it does help out. Like every little bit of health helps, because not only are you probably dealing with the banished like leader ability, you're also probably dealing with a whole army as well. So just making sure that you're keeping an eye on that. Now pulling back, making sure that we have this side base and it's completely ours. Then we're going to take out the second side base, which will completely, it will all but assure that the banished cannot retrain units to basically beat us. So the only way that they'll be able to hurt us now is probably with their own leader abilities and like spirit dropships that come by every now and then. But lucky for us, we're going to toss down our archer missiles, which were ready. We're going to fall back some of our units, put them in full retreat because we were getting hit by that glassing beam, and then get everything ready for like replace any units that you lost, and then just keep going on the offensive. Again, that Wraith is super good. Like it is doing it's doing a lot of work against those banished infantry units. And those Wolverines, just see how they treat that just see how they treat those Banshees when they come on by. Now, something that is, I would say, underrated is the use of rally points. So I would recommend whenever you're wherever your forces are, if you're not paying attention to where your forces are, like when they're being trained, and you're not always hitting like all units or something like that to make sure you have all your units in the fight, it is advised in my opinion, to always set your rally point closest to where your current forces are, or at least in front of your base. That way you always have them nearby. But once you do all that damage, use some of those grenades to take out that north conduit. We have one more sentinel swarm to deal with. We're going to fall back, get that EMP Mac ready, toss it down as soon as you see that timer hit 0, boom, and then we can immediately send our forces back to basically destroy that north conduit. Now the only banished forces left on the map, other than that spirit dropship as you see there, there is one more like little detachment of banished forces, and they are sitting at I believe the only thing that we need to do now is the west conduit. So that's pretty much it. After you take down the west conduit, we get to deal with the most annoying part of this mission, in my opinion, which are the sentinels. The sentinels do a ton of damage, and they are main reason why I decided to go anti-air turrets rather than anti-infantry or anti-vehicle turrets to help counter the banished. Now, I'm setting all my rally points back to my base because I know for a fact that I'm going to need all the help I can get when the sentinels start to show up. So making sure all of our forces are pretty much rallied to where they need to be. Getting our restoration drones ready when we need them, because again, you want to always make sure that you have your leader powers ready for whenever you go into a fight. And we got 2 wraiths, and it's going to be really cool for us to just toss down restoration drones and see those wraiths do absolutely nothing to our forces. Got the banshees there, got one more wraith, and that is it. That is all the banished that you have to deal with. Now just hang out, take out those the final conduit, and then boom, you got some sentinels to deal with. Now again, as soon as that hits 0, toss down an EMP Mac, lets all the sentinels know that you mean business, and they all scatter. Gonna just continuously hammer this conduit. You get to deal with one more swarm. That spirit dropship stood no chance. Unfortunately, they still like to toss down their glassing beam. How kind of them. Like, look at that glassing beam just try to hammer that Wolverine, and the Wolverine was completely unfazed. He was just like, bruh, like, why'd you waste that? Like, you could have at least targeted a Marine. But now that we've finally taken down this west conduit, just gonna use leader powers now for fun. That is all 3 of the power conduits. Now we get some sentinels to deal with. They're immediately going to start attacking our base. We are not ready for this attack yet. Except for the fact that we are, because our base is completely where it needs to be. Now, these are little super sentinels. They do a lot more damage than normal sentinels. Look how they just destroy all of our turrets. Like, Fortify level 2 would have been really, or Fortify level 1 would have been really, really nice here. But it was supposed to be a way for you to get used to the turrets and make sure that you have them upgraded before you do anything. But basically you have 3, the way this section works is that you have 3 kind of like stopping points. And then they have you fight sentinels at each one. So to clear the first wave, you just need to basically destroy some sentinels. So to move on, destroy these sentinels. Which is why we have so many freaking Wolverines, because they're going to be able to do a lot of damage. And also another reason why we have Marines, because Marines counter air units, or infantry typically counter air units. Now look at the sentinels here. They decided to be annoying and fight while I'm not even at my base anymore. But lucky for us, that anti-air turret's being clutch. Alright, so that was the second one. Now we're on to the third and final wave that we have to deal with, and then we just do one more EMP Mac, and it's pretty much it for this mission. Just gotta keep on moving. So here's that third and final swarm. You could use the restoration drones if you'd like, but for me, I just said YOLO, destroy the rest of these sentinels, because this is the final wave. Look how many sentinels they have for you to take down. Gonna use that restoration drones just to make sure that I don't lose any more units, keep my combat score up, making sure my base is still good. because you lose your base, it's over. But now we can just head straight over, basically go for the end of this mission, and then there you go. That is the Cartographer on legendary difficulty. We lost quite a few units. We lost quite a few units. I don't know what happened there, but that's pretty much it for this mission. Like, once you toss that EMP Mac, that is it. Anders will have a little bit of a cutscene, but yeah, that's the Cartographer. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you guys did, please leave a like down below. If you guys have any tips or tricks that you want to add to this guide, or anything that I didn't cover, feel free to post that in a comment below. I always like to hear what you guys have to say in terms of what your guys' strategies are, because I want to make sure everybody is not only helping me, but helping each other. So there's no one given strategy that's better than the other. Sometimes someone didn't really even think about it like that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. This video did get a gold medal. Not this video, but this mission, I got a gold medal. I also was able to hit par score, which was pretty cool. Only thing that didn't happen was I did not get part time. It was pretty close, but in a few seconds you'll see that on that screen. But I do want to thank you guys again for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, as I said, hit a like and feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time for Lights Out. Thank you guys for watching.